Okay, we have an expression here. It includes negative exponents. You have a parentheses, and what you have 4x to the negative second power, y to the third power, and then a negative second power. So there's been a third box added, but it's actually the middle box. This is the extra box. It's not the one on the end. The one in the middle, the one on the end, you're doing the same thing. Okay, this is where you're going to be doing something different. So your bases, you have 4, x, the base number 4, then letters x and y. So we do the same thing on this first one. Now 4 is to the 1, but that's in parentheses, so you have to distribute 1 to negative 2. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Then x, negative 2 times negative 2. Now negative times a negative is a positive, and then 2 times 2 is 4. Now y, a positive times a negative is a negative, and 3 times 2 is 6. Now here's what we're doing on this. Circle this first base here. Does it have a negative or a positive power? It is a negative. So you're going to put SW. SW means that 4 has to switch from the top to the bottom, and then its little 2 becomes a positive, because I want those exponents into positive. Now x, exponent, is that positive or negative 4? It's positive, so put ST. That means it stays where it's at. Okay, it stays on the top of the line. Okay, you have a negative exponent. Okay, that's a switch, so you need to switch y to the bottom so that its power becomes positive. Now, you don't want negative. That's called reciprocating. When you have a negative exponent, you have to reciprocate it. Alright, so x to the 4th, you can't simplify that. Now the 4 to the 2nd, you can. 4 times 4 is 16. Then y to the 6th, you can't simplify. So there's your answer. Okay, next one. Just assume if there's no line, everything's starting on top. You might be moving some things to the bottom on this part here. So you got a 3 times a letter A times a letter B. So 3 to the 1, but it's in parentheses. 1 times 2, that's a positive times a positive. That's a positive every time. 1 times 2 is 2. Now A, you're taking the negative 1 times a 2, a negative times a positive is a negative, and then 1 times 2 is 2. Then 1 times 2 is 2. Now that 3 to the 2, I think that's going to be a switch, or no, that's a stay, okay, because that's a positive, so you keep that where it's at. What kind of x power do we have here, a positive or a negative? It's a negative second, so that needs to switch. So a to the bottom, so that it's negative 2 becomes a positive 2. Then this b2, that's positive, so that stays. Okay, so 3 to the 2nd, that's going to be 3 times 3, and that's 9. And then b to the 2nd cannot be simplified, neither can the a to the 2nd. So that's what we got going on there. 9 times b to the 2nd over a to the 2nd. Okay, here we got 10, base number 10, then variables x and y. You have one of each. Okay, if you had another x, you put a plus sign, but you don't. So 10 to the 1, oh, that's in parentheses, so we take 1 times negative 2. X, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, and negative times a negative is a positive. Then 3 times negative 2, that's positive times negative, that's always a negative, and then 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, what switches, what stays? Well, 10 to the negative 2nd, that's a negative, so that's a switch. Bring it to the bottom, so it becomes positive 2. That already has a positive power, so that stays. Negative power, it has to be reciprocated, meaning move to the bottom so that it becomes positive 6. Okay, so x to the 4th can't be simplified. 10 to the 2nd, that would be 10 times 10, which is 100. And then the variable y to the 6 just stays. Okay, last problem in this video. you've got 5 times x times y. So 5, 1, you take 1 times 1, that's 1. And then negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Then 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, 1, that's a stay. Okay. ST means stay, SW means switch. That switch, X moves to the bottom so that that little power can become a positive. This already has a positive, so that's stay. Okay, then 5 to the first is just 5, and then y to the third, x to the 2. And that is how you simplify, and that's 3 boxes as most will have, 3 lines. Okay, hope it has been informative, and see you next video.